Kindy Rockstars. Prepare for a treat, let's meet and greet some bands and singers that are super sweet, making music that's fun for boys and girls. Help them learn about this great big world. Fun for the family, yes it's true, your kids will love it and you will too. Clap and dance and sing aloud, become a part of the Kindy crowd. These songs will make you move your feet and give your ears a great big treat. So settle in, grab your guitars, and let's get to know our Kindy rock stars. Hello everyone, and welcome to Kindy Rockstars. This is the show that gives you the stories behind the songs from some of the best bands and singers that are making fun, informative, educational, catchy, and occasionally silly songs for children and families. I'm your host, Patrick Adams, and each episode of Kindy Rockstars will feature an artist and a featured song. So let's get to this week's show. With me today is Virginia from Momandpop. Welcome to the show, Virginia.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for having me.
So tell everyone how you got into Kindy music and a little bit about your background.
All right. Well, since about 2011, my husband and I started realizing that our lives were sort of separate. He was a school teacher, and I was an actor in a theater company. So he worked in the day, I rehearsed at night, and I was just really. I always loved the idea of working together, but it just wasn't anything that ever would come together. My background is I really wanted to be an opera singer. As a little kid, like my heroes were opera singers, and I loved opera. I loved the spectacle. And then when I got a little bit older and started taking voice lessons, it was clear like my voice wasn't exactly operatic, and that sort of crushed me. Really, I just thought, well, no music for me. If I can't do opera, I'm not doing anything. And so I got into theater. So I started doing a lot of theater. And my husband's background was he was a punk rocker. Nice. He was a punk rock musician. So an opera lover and a punk rocker. So my husband actually started a band in our hometown, Little Rock, Arkansas, called Trusty, that became quite instrumental in starting, basically, like maybe not starting, but sort of jumping in, like getting going a kind of youth scene in Little Rock. And a lot of people, because of his band, like started their own bands, and this huge, wonderful scene sort of emerged in the 90s in Little Rock. So he had his music, and I was doing theater and things like that. But he started getting really burned out on teaching, and I was kind of getting burned out on working in nonprofit theater. And we just heard about this thing called Music for Aardvarks. It was started by somebody in New York City, and it was music classes. The music was cool. Kids came with their moms. It's kind of like kinder music or music together. And we thought, wow, what if we could do something like that? You know, I love kids. I've been doing children's theater all these years. I toured with my theater company, doing children's theater and writing original children's theater and things like that. And so we thought, sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's just start writing music for these classes, and we'll teach classes with our music. And so we started doing that. We started writing music, and the more Bobby wrote the music, I would go like, yeah, okay. What we can do is when we sing this song, I'll put on a big hat and then I'll come out and I'll throw this confetti and oh, this song should be sung by a whale. So I'm gonna make a big whale head out of paper mache. Yeah. And oh, and because I was in theater, what I started to realize is I suddenly realized like, Bobby, I think this is a show. I think this is some showbiz. This is not a class. Because also Bobby's music he would come and he would say, listen to this bass line. Listen to this bass line I wrote. And I would say, that's all well and good, but when we're in the classes with our acoustic guitars, no one's going to hear that bass line. So it just sort of happened. I said, maybe we should just make a show instead of a class. So we started putting the songs together as a show. And after that, we were totally hooked. The people that came, bless their hearts, to our first workshop performance where we were like, I wonder if this has legs. I wonder if anybody will like this. The first out of the gate, people were just like, gotta have more of that. And so that's kind of how we started. We didn't really actually set out to have a performing group together, but that's what happened. So that's kind of the roundabout way of how we got into making shows together.
That sounds like a fun evolution, but yeah, all of your individual talents coming together to create this. It's really cool. And I can't help but think that there's a genre out there for punk rock and opera.
I think we made it. It's called the mom and pop genre. And I did actually eventually get over my sadness about opera and picked up the guitar and started writing my own music. So my music doesn't sound like opera, but it still has there's something there that's definitely not punk rock.
So how did you, and I ask a lot of people this, but how did you work through the pandemic? It sounds like you're doing a lot of in-person stuff, live performances, but what did you end up doing during the lockdown?
During the lockdown, Pop taught himself all aspects of recording our music at home. So now all of our music we do ourselves. So the first 2 albums we went into a studio, but now we can just go into our bedroom and make music, which I just thought that's not possible. It's not possible. And now it is. And the other thing that I taught myself was, my daughter taught me, was how to do video editing, which I also thought that's for really technical, super, super computer technical people. Not for me. But my daughter was like, Mom, look, here's all you do. And then I ended up loving it. So we taught ourselves some skills so that we can keep performing from home. We started out doing a lot of live performances online, but then we switched to once I learned how to video edit. Now we're making videos and selling those videos to libraries.
Very nice.
Because libraries were our bread and butter kind of before, especially in the summer months, and so we just switched to that.
Now, with your songs, do you have a specific theme that you write about, or is everything just very general, all topics?
I wish we had a theme. I really am jealous of people that have like, here's my theme and everything fits under this heading. But no, it's not really a theme per se. I'm going to brag on Bobby a little bit. He is incredibly prolific. And when he sets out to write a song, it's like by the time I've finished my second cup of coffee, he's written a bass line and a guitar line, and he's played the drums, and he's got the harmonies, and so things just spring forth almost fully formed from his head all the time. In fact, we had a snowstorm in Little Rock back in March, and I was saying, like, stop writing music, stop. We have to learn to promote the songs that we've already written. I can't keep up with all this. So everything around him is just like an idea. He'll see something and then he's writing a song. For me, I'm a very different kind of a songwriter. Like, if something is like in my soul, it's deep, that I've really got to say, like, a song will come forth like one every 6 months. And I like my songs. They're good, but it's a totally different beast, because Bobby is just, it's like music just flows through him all the time. So it's my job to go like, oh, okay, I see that song that you just wrote. How can we stage that? How can we make it fun? How can we make it engaging and pop and colorful and either in our live show or in a video? So I think our theme, when we first came up with the idea of calling ourselves Mom and Pop, which is a family business, I just said, what about spreading joy is our family business? So I guess if we had to have a theme, we just want to make people laugh or smile and dance around with their kids and just include music in every aspect of their life if they can, because it's really definitely saved our life. And that's it. I guess that's a roundabout. I said there's no theme. I'm going to change that. There's a theme. It's called joy. Joy's our theme.
That's a great theme. So as you were talking, a question came to mind about your song making process. So are you able to fit your songs into the music that he writes, or does he have to conform to the songs that you've written?
Wait, say that again.
So, if he's writing the music, or he comes up with, like, I guess the instrumental for a song or something like that, but you're writing, you've got a song idea. Are you able to fit your song idea into something that he's written, or does he have to write the music around the song that you wrote?
Well, it's different for each song. It's really different, but a lot of times he writes so fast, the music comes so fast, and he'll just start saying any kind of thing that just sort of fits the music. And so sometimes it doesn't sound like kids' music at all, but what's coming out. I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't think of a good example right now, but he'll say, listen to this, and it'll have lyrics that are not for kids. Not that they're X-rated or anything, but it just doesn't sound like something a kid would be interested in. And then I can go like, what if we said this? What if we put this into this? Wouldn't this be great? So, I know one. We had a song called If You Want to Talk to Animals, and I can't remember how it started, but it was, if you want to talk to animals, you better make a sound like ee, ee, ee. And it wasn't that when he wrote it, but something in it made me think, you know what this makes me think of? It makes me think of that book, that children's book that our kids read, was about how animals say hello. I think the word hello was in the song, and I was like, oh, what if this is about how animals say hello? And he was like, oh, got it. Okay. So that was one way. Sometimes, though, we have a theme to start with, and he writes to specifically that thing. Like the song that you're going to play today is one of the songs that we've written for. We're very fortunate to be able to work for Arkansas PBS. We write music for they have a new children's show. It's their second season, called Blueberry's Clubhouse. So we'll read the script and we'll say, like, okay, there needs to be a song here about kites. And then he's off and writing a song about kites. So it just depends. It depends.
Very good. All right. Well, let's talk about your song. So today's song
Okay.
is A Little Bit Afraid. So tell me a little bit about what inspired that song and how you ended up writing and performing.
Well, this song was for Blueberry's Clubhouse, and in this episode of Blueberry's Clubhouse is like a Sesame Street. Blueberry is a puppet who lives at this camp. She's always at camp. She probably doesn't live there, but Blueberry's at camp. The whole thing takes place at Camp Onomatopoeia. And in this episode, they were tackling how even grown-ups feel afraid. So the camp counselor, Carol, was very, very distressed because she had to go to the doctor. And Blueberry and her friend Max were just perplexed. Like, what do you mean you're afraid? You're a grown-up. Why would you be afraid? And the gist of it is like, well, just because you're grown up doesn't mean you don't get afraid. And and so that was our jumping off place. But what was interesting is that the song is called A Little Bit Afraid. And like I said, I'm up doing something else. I hear Bobby's down there like making it all happen. And I'm hearing this really happy, effervescent, like almost like the association style harmonies going on. I'm like, what an odd choice for a song about fear. And then I went down and I was listening. I was like, how interesting that you're talking about being afraid, but this is like one of the happiest songs that we've ever written. And so the more I listened to it, the more I loved it, because like I said earlier, my husband and I both suffer from depression, and music has kept us going. When we've been really down, writing a song or playing a song or singing a song or showing up and singing live for children, it can lift us up, lifts us out of a depression. And we hope that it's doing the same for anybody else who's sad. And so I really started digging the song so much because it seems like you're singing about it's okay to be afraid. Even grown-ups feel afraid. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to keep moving forward. Sometimes we can face our fears. We must be brave. But then it has this lovely ba 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 da 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 da, almost bubblegum thing. And then I realized, like, yeah, because sometimes when we're afraid, we sing happy music to get us out of that place. And so that's when I really was like, I love this song. I love this song.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's check it out. Here is A Little Bit Afraid by Mom and Pop.
Every now and then we feel a little scared. Something's unfamiliar and it just feels weird. Sometimes we can face our fears, we must be brave. Sometimes we just feel afraid. There's nothing wrong with that. Even grown-ups feel afraid. Don't let it hold you back. Every now and then we feel a little scared of something unexpected and we're unprepared to keep on moving forward, but we must be brave. Sometimes we just feel afraid. There's nothing wrong with that. Even grown-ups feel afraid. Don't let it hold you back. We sometimes feel afraid, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even grown-ups feel afraid, just a little bit afraid. Don't let it hold you back.
And that was A Little Bit Afraid by Mom and Pop. All right, Virginia, tell everyone where they can stream and download that song and where they can find you on social media.
Well, we have a website, momandpopshows.com. We have a Facebook page, Mom and Pop, and Instagram, Mom and Pop Shows is also our handle. Is that right? You say handle, or is that just Twitter? Mom and Pop Shows on Instagram. And then by the time this podcast comes out, it will be available wherever you buy music, iTunes, and all of those places.
Excellent. All right. Well, Virginia, thank you so much for doing the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.